Thank you so much for joining us for Impact State of Mind. I'm John Paul Parmigiani, co-founder and CEO of Impact Hub New York Metropolitan Area. Impact Hub New York Metropolitan Area is a nonprofit supporting entrepreneurs and change makers through programs designed to help impactful ideas take off. We work across the New York Metropolitan Area broadly, with focus areas in Manhattan, Queens, Newark, and Morristown, New Jersey. Impact Hub is a global association of entrepreneurial communities in more than 100 cities in more than 50 countries. Impact State of Mind is a virtual series created to support the social innovation community during the COVID-19 crisis. So thank you so much for joining for today's session, Meet the Innovator with Shreyas Navare, who is CEO and co-founder of Ladderworks. It is a true honor and a privilege to have you on today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I was wondering if you could start by telling us about your work at Ladderworks a little bit, why it's significant, and what the what the scope of the work is.
Sure. So Ladderworks is a publishing startup of children's picture books created by diverse storytellers. And our aim is to enable at least 1 million kids from around the world to become social entrepreneurs. Right now, entrepreneurship education is almost non-existent in that category of 3 to 8-year-olds. And we think that qualities like self-love, risk-taking, etc., can be really inculcated in kids' minds at that early age. And empathy, of course, problem solving, problem identifying. So we want to start early, and we think we have found a language to speak to kids through Ladderworks.
Great. And obviously you're nailing it in terms of this topic, which is how to engage young people at an earlier age around entrepreneurship, helping them to become innovative at an earlier age, as those habits can really be helpful for them as they grow older. Can you tell us more about the book that recently came out and about the the lessons that you're learning from this experience?
Sure. So we partnered with the World Bank Youth Summit, and they host this global entrepreneurship competition every year. And the winners of that competition were given the first prize in the form of our book deal. And so we converted the story of the winning startup into this picture book, which is set in space with our cartoon character Spiffy, who is an interplanetary space journalist who hops from one planet to another, observing how different aliens are solving one particular problem. And that's mapped to the startup that we are featuring. So this is a startup called Project Cube. It consists of MIT and NYU students from Singapore. And they have created a social enterprise that provides mobile modular classrooms to disaster affected areas. So you can pack the whole classroom into a cube and ship it to disaster affected areas so that kids there can not miss out on school. And they also have an app which helps with the curriculum on top of that hardware that is provided in the cube. So we converted their story into this picture book by picking up the metaphor of packing stuff into a cube and then passing on that knowledge to people who can't access it through the characters of Lolo, Rondi, and Mac, who are the 3 aliens based on the startup founders.
Got it. And can you tell us why you're so passionate about this work? Why do you think it's so important?
Because everything I've done in my life has kind of fallen together like the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle for this. I have been a cartoonist, political cartoonist all my life, and I've been studying issues that affect the planet and people. And cartooning was involved commenting on those issues and giving people who don't get a chance a voice through those cartoons. But I wanted to go one step further and make a real impact in the lives of those people as well, and not just giving a voice. And so I thought that bringing the art of editorial cartooning to children's literature, which is what we have basically done, which is to split the role of the author into story originators who are the startup founders, and then a creative writer comes on board. And we convert complex topics from around the world into simple, engaging communication in the form of children's picture books, which is exactly what editorial cartoons do to understand different international topics and then boil them down to the to its bare essence and make that comment in a single column.
Excellent. And what kind of stories do people have to look forward to that might be coming up, or what's the process like in actually getting to those stories?
Yep. So we have chosen the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as the framework for creating these books. So the next books that are coming up are on mental health and on environment. One of the upcoming books is on encouraging kids to upcycle old clothes to solve the issue of landfills. So we are picking up one UN SDG at a time and doing some pilot books before we go big.
That's awesome. And then you're working, I understand that you're working also with, you're based in New York and team members in New York. Can you tell us about, how this is also like a New York focused project in some way?
Sure. So I'm the only one based in New York. Our other two co-founders are in Washington and San Francisco, and our managing editor is in New Jersey. So we have always been a virtual company, but I am here in New York. The opportunities that we are giving to people for creating the books, they are primarily to New York artists right now. So our upcoming books are being illustrated by two New York artists. And that's where we plan to put our focus, because apart from social entrepreneurship, the other focus of Ladderworks is to enable financial sustainability for creative entrepreneurs like writers, illustrators. And so that's we are starting small with New York and then expanding.
Got it. And with this 2020 year of COVID crisis, what have been some of the challenges you've been facing that are unique to this year, or that you've been facing in general?
So the challenges that we are facing that are unique to this year are not unique to us. Those are challenges that everyone is facing. I'm really missing out on the in-person networking events. One of our co-founders and I met at the World Bank Youth Summit in the audience, and then he ended up becoming a co-founder at Ladderworks. Those kinds of interactions are missing, but thanks to you, we are able to reach a lot of people, thanks to events like the one that Impact Hub is doing right now. But still, I'm missing out on the in-person interactions. The other thing is mental health of all of us, the team members themselves. And in this whole past year, we have put our mental health as the top priority, and we have been there for each other. And that has really helped, because unless we are okay, it will be difficult for us to bring mental health topics through our books and help other mental health improve. So we are focusing first on ourselves and then on others.
So what are some of the mental health practices you guys have been working on or putting into practice?
We are just being kind to each other. And that's like number one. We were always kind to each other, but especially during this time, if something hasn't worked out, we give it more time to work out, or just encouraging each other to eat healthy, sleep on time, exercise, and just keeping each other motivated through this really new normal that's going to be there for a while.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that reminder. I think entrepreneurs are often forgetting that they have to take care of themselves, as people tend to, especially in these times. We hear a lot of people telling us that they're working even harder than normal because they're really confused about what the future will bring, what value they're going to have to make in order to create, sales and so forth. So I was wondering if you could maybe tell us more about how people can support your work, different areas that you may need help in as a follow-up to your 2020 challenges.
Sure. So this looks like a company of children's picture books, but our aim is much higher. We intend to convert the books into online curriculum and many other derivative products, which will lead to income for the social entrepreneur featured in the book, as well as the creative entrepreneurs who create the book on a regular basis. So in that sense, it's not just a publishing house, it's a creative ecosystem that will enable people to earn money either for their social impact stories or for their creativity. And so in that sense, if you would like to help us make social entrepreneurship as well as creative entrepreneurship accessible to all. Uh, Help us in any way and drop me a message on LinkedIn, and we'd be happy to explore a collaboration. Uh, Also, we're looking for mentors in the space of accounting and finance, because this will develop into a payments platform which enables payments for, as I said, stories as well as for creativity.
Great. So getting back to the book and also your mention of the SDGs, I'm wondering, how do you measure the impact, or how do you think of the impact and making sure that the book achieves the goals that you're setting out?
Sure. So the book is, we have converted the picture book into an instrument which helps three communities. One is the social entrepreneur whom we are featuring, and so visibility to that social entrepreneur, putting them, giving them access to all the VCs and other funding sources that we have through our network, uh, and creating an alternate financing system for the social entrepreneur through the books and all the derivative products that we'll sell through those royalties. So that's one way of measuring impact for the social entrepreneurs. For the creative entrepreneurs, we are giving a chance to people typically who don't get a chance in traditional publishing. And again, the royalties from the book as well as the derivative product, as well as this first chance to get published. That's the way to measure impact for them. And the last and most important stakeholder group are the students. And we want real life stories of entrepreneurs to inspire and empower kids to become excited about problem solving and problem identification of others, so that that empathy and self-love develops, and the world becomes a better place through our kids.
Got it. And can you tell us a little bit about your path as a cartoonist, and how that also involves, your passion for this work?
My path as a cartoonist began by picking up oil pastels and starting to draw in the walls of my parents' bedrooms with oil pastel colors, and not being reprimanded for it. Then I went on to draw caricatures of my school teachers in class, and I wasn't reprimanded. So I moved one step further in authority and started drawing caricatures of politicians, and I wasn't reprimanded, of course. So this just went on and then bloomed into a second career, um, in addition to my traditional career.
Amazing. And tell us a little bit about some of your accomplishments so far. Pretty impressive.
Thank you. So, as a cartoonist, my works have been included in the Library of Congress. They have a collection spanning around 300, 400 years of cartoons from all around the world, originals. And I have been published by HarperCollins, my cartoons, through 2 books, and have been exhibited in many places around the world. And it's what has really helped me because of this career is to develop an understanding that what gave me happiness during all those years was having 2 careers. One which was a finance and technology career, which was the traditional career, and I enjoyed that too. But having a second passion career, and that's what we want to do through Ladderworks, is to enable people to have side careers and side hustles, because that really gives people joy. And we want to remove the barriers to entrepreneurship so that that second career is possible, and let then people uh, have that help so that the second career grows and becomes the first career.
Great. So having that in mind, and knowing that a lot of people have challenges to being able to create that second career. What do you see as some of the gaps in the ecosystem, in the New York metro area in particular, that might, if they were filled, help people to create that bridge between their initial career that maybe pays the bills, and the secondary career that maybe is their passion that they eventually want to switch to?
So the barriers to entry to entrepreneurship are the usual barriers for all. One is capital and finance, and access to capital and finance. So maybe building a community of uh, like-minded people who want to start side hustles, and they can become each other's customers. So at least revenue starts kicking in by a supportive community of entrepreneurs. And that's what we are trying to do at Ladderworks too. We are trying to build a community of parents who are entrepreneurs, because I think the demographic that's under the most stress right now is parents who are entrepreneurs, because they have to manage kids as well as their own startups, both of which are like 24/7 jobs. So we want to create a community for them who will support each other, so that as entrepreneurs, they get access to revenues from their supporting community. And as parents, they get tips from other parents as to what they are doing to make life a little easier.
So looking into 2021, which hopefully will come soon, what are some of your aspirations and some of your hopes for Ladderworks and your work forward?
So 2020 is really going fast. So 2021 will come pretty soon, but I hope it's a better year than 2020. And our aspirations are just to keep our heads down and focus on work and give as much visibility as possible to social entrepreneurs from around the world. We have partnered with NASDAQ to do that since June, where every day Spiffy, our interplanetary journalist cartoon character, interviews social entrepreneurs based on different UN SDGs. And these entrepreneurs are nominated by VCs, accelerators, incubators, alumni organizations from around the world, and we publish those interviews on the NASDAQ website. So we intend to continue doing that and building on to that, so that more and more stories from around the world about social impact can be told.
And what are you learning from that experience? Is there anything that surprised you as far as different innovators from parts of the world who are tackling social challenges that informs, that either makes you hopeful or surprises you in terms of the kinds of scope of work and angles that entrepreneurs are taking?
Yeah, I'm a hopeless optimist anyway. So the hope that stems from these stories, and I've seen this trend, is like a shift towards a much younger age group of entrepreneurship. Uh, Kids who are teens are jumping in and doing a pretty amazing job. I also see a broader trend towards uh, transforming of capitalism itself, with the focus being on people and planet, and that trend is pretty clear. So that gives me hope, because if there's no planet for us to stay on, everything else is meaningless. So it's really satisfying to see from all corners of the world, from the US to Australia. We're still trying to get some stories from Antarctica. So if anyone can put us in touch with social entrepreneurs from there, that would be an awesome help.
Okay, I don't know how many of those are available, but it seems like, if some of the characters in your book are coming from other planets, then there certainly should be room for Antarctica. In your experience in engaging the younger audience, can you just touch more on why you think this might be so important? And from the perspective of knowing that we are now moving from millennials to Zoomers, who are going to be leading the way for the way we all engage in the future, and some of the innovations that will be suited specifically for them. What do you see as the maybe some of the core differences that are coming up in the younger generation that maybe we should be paying attention to?
I think there are two things to it, right? One is the content. And so in the circle of creativity, you can start anywhere. You can make a film, then convert it into a book, then convert it into a music video, etc. And that's fine. So we have chosen picture books as that starting point on that circle of creativity. The second part is the distribution of that content. And because the circle of creativity is so versatile, you can pick and choose what format you can distribute that content to kids. So as far as the content itself, we have chosen the UN SDGs, and I think there is a lot of interest from governments, from educational institutes, from parents, teachers all around the world to make kids aware about social issues and things affecting the planet. And so we are going to ride that wave. And as far as distribution is concerned, we are going to partner with multiple organizations to make this content available to kids.
And what would you say to social innovators who maybe haven't taken up the Sustainable Development Goals as a framework for their work? Would you recommend it? What are some of the pros and cons that you see in taking that effort up?
I think everyone should decide their own path. So I'm not going to give any specific suggestions. This is what works for us. So we chose this. The UN has declared next year as 2021 as the year of the creators, especially for advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think adding a dash of creativity anywhere can help us advance these goals. So that's what we are doing.
And are there any specific goals that you care the most about? Do you have a favorite goal?
There are quite a few of them, but this month being Mental Health Awareness Month, we are focusing on UN SDG number 3, which is good health and wellness. And really that's the most important for everything else to follow. If you are healthy, then you can aspire for many things. I don't know whose quote this is, but if you're not healthy, then there's just one thing that you want. Really, that's my favorite goal, because happiness in life stems a lot from that one goal. And if you have self-love, you have the capacity to give love to others, and just the world will become a better place. So I think that's the most important UN SDG.
Got it. And what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs now in New York in the COVID crisis, trying to figure out their path forward? Any nuggets of lessons that you've learned that you'd want to impart?
Become a member of Impact Hub New York.
Well, I mean, I can't disagree with that. I think that's great. But anything else in addition to that?
No, that's enough.
All right. Well, really appreciate how you've circled back to mental health, and the month that we're celebrating this with the UN and the Sustainable Development Goals. We also have been trying to understand a little bit better how we can play a role towards supporting people in the culture of health space moving forward towards 2021. So we really appreciate that. And I think unless there aren't any other questions from the audience, I think we will ask one more time for you to let people know how they can get in touch with you, follow you, also follow the work and these interviews that you guys are doing with NASDAQ as well, so we can get the word out about that.
Sure. So you can follow us on Ladderworks. That's our handle on all social media sites. And you can drop me a message on LinkedIn. And on the NASDAQ website, you'll see a Ladderworks page, which has all the interviews. Maybe we can share it in the comments later.
Excellent. So thank you so much for joining us. I can say that I've purchased one of your books, and I was able to give some of those as gifts. They make great gifts. The holidays are coming up. So, when you're thinking about in the audience of shopping local and shopping meaningfully, maybe give that a try. But in other news, we'll certainly try to loop back with you later in terms of seeing how everything pans out in 2021. And we wish you the best of luck and all the success in the world, and your team as well. And keep safe and healthy, and everyone in the audience as well.
Thank you. And you too. And thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.